I have a confession to make. I haven't actually read a book for years. I haven't sat down and read an actual physical book and completed it for probably about 10 years. That's awful, isn't it? I've completed audiobooks, I've listened to them, which is brilliant, and it's the one way I've managed to do some sort of reading since having kids. But I can honestly say I can't remember the last time I read a proper book. It must be about 10 years ago. I genuinely can't remember. If you've already seen my first video in my 30 Day Me series, you'll know that reading is something that I really want to do more of this year, and reading actual books. I love an audiobook, and I have completed a few via my Audible app, and I really enjoy it, and it is a great way of actually keeping on top of reading when you're busy and you haven't got a lot of time to actually sit down and read. But there's something about holding an actual book and reading that you just can't get from an audiobook. So as much as I will still continue to listen to audiobooks when I can, I really miss proper books. Does anyone else feel like that? I feel like I use my iPad and my phone and my laptop for so much that I'd like to keep reading separate from that and not something that I do through one of my devices. I don't know, it doesn't feel the same to me. So with that in mind, and as part of my 30 Day Me project, I bought myself some books for the first half of the year. I'm going to be realistic and accept that I'm never gonna get through more than one book a month. Even one book a month is pushing it. So I bought myself 6 books to see me through until the summer. I am going on holiday in May, but it's to Florida, so the likelihood of doing any reading in that holiday is slim. So yeah, I think 1 book a month is probably fair. I love watching book hauls on YouTube. Even though I don't read a lot of books, I still love to know what other people read and recommend. So I just thought I would share with you the books that I've chosen to see me through the first half of the year. So top of the pile, and the one that I want to read first, is This Is Going to Hurt. I've seen this book everywhere. So many people are talking about it. I'm sure lots of you have read it already, and I'd love to know what you think of it if you have. This, if you don't know anything about it, is basically the secret diary of a junior doctor. The writer is Adam Kay. I think he's now a writer and comedian, but he spent many years as a junior doctor and kept his memoirs, and basically this is it. 97-hour weeks, life and death decisions, a constant tsunami of bodily fluids, and the hospital parking meter earns more than you. Welcome to the life of a junior doctor. So many people have said that this is a really heartbreaking and touching read, but it's also incredibly funny, and I don't know why this appeals to me so much, but I cannot wait to read it. Obviously, having had 4 children, the NHS has been really important to me over the last 10, 12 years, and it's one of those books that I think has come along at exactly the right time. People will get a lot from it, and it'll help people to understand exactly what it's like to work on the front line in the NHS at the moment. So I cannot wait to pick that up. I think I'm going to read this afternoon while Marnie has a nap and the kids are chilling out, and I cannot wait. So the next book I picked up is this one, Truly Madly Guilty, and actually I think the last book I fully read through was by this author. It was The Husband's Secret, and yes, that is the last book that I fully read through. It's all coming back to me now. It was on holiday in Lanzarote, Mallorca. Aidan was little, so when was that? 5 years ago. That's it. That's the last time I read a book from start to finish. Anyway, that was the last book I read. I read it right the way through in Mallorca, loved it, couldn't put it down. And this one is, I think, her most recent. She's the author of Big Little Lies. I haven't read that book, but I have watched the TV show and loved that too, so I've got high hopes for this one. The premise of this sounds along a similar line to Big Little Lies and The Husband's Secret that I read before, but it says, this is a story which begins with a barbecue. By the end of it, a lifelong friendship will be in tatters, a marriage on the rocks, and an innocent bystander dead. In just one evening, 6 lives will change forever. I'm hooked already. I'm sure I've seen somewhere that this is going to be made into a TV show as well. I could be wrong, but yeah, that sounds right up my street. So the next book I picked up is this one, and this isn't the kind of thing I would usually go for, but something about it really appealed to me. Again, I've seen lots of people talking about it, and I think it's another really important one and quite timely at the moment. I think a lot of people will identify with it. It's Notes on a Nervous Planet by Matt Haig. He talks about how stress and anxiety seems to be on the rise, and that we're living in such a fast and nervous world that it's creating nervous people and people that are struggling to find a balance between technology and real life and just slowing down and appreciating the moment and things like that. How can we stay sane on a planet that makes us mad? How do we stay human in a technological world? How do we feel happy when we're encouraged to be anxious? Now, they're all questions that I want to know the answer to. So even though this isn't something I would normally gravitate towards, I think it's something that I should read and would benefit from. So looking forward to starting on that one as well in March. Next up is The Memory Shop by Ella Griffin. Now, of all the books I've chosen, this is the one I've probably heard the least about. I think it's popped up in one book haul that I watched recently, but that person hadn't read it yet, so I don't know a great deal about it. But the premise of it really appealed to me. Basically, it's about a girl called Nora who inherits all of her grandmother's possessions after her death, and when she's clearing through it all, she starts to unravel secrets that her grandmother had taken to her grave and things that explain events that have happened in her own life. With no means of keeping the belongings and not able to bear auctioning everything off, Nora decides to open the memory shop so that each object can be matched to a perfect new owner. Soon Nora begins transforming the lives of those around her through the items she pairs them with, helping them find new happiness in unexpected ways. I thought that sounded like a really nice, easy read, something quite comforting and just a nice story. So I think I'll enjoy reading that. This might be one to take on the plane when we go away in May. Next up, and I'm fairly sure I am the last person on the planet to read this book, is Eleanor Oliphant is Completely Fine. I'm sure most of you will have read this, and I actually started to read it, in my defense, months ago on Audible, and I just couldn't get into it. I don't know if it was the narrator's voice or I don't know what it was. It just wasn't working for me, but I know that once I get into it, I'll really enjoy it because it sounds like something that I will love. For those one or two of you who've been under a rock with me and you haven't read it yet, basically it's about a character called Eleanor Oliphant, and it says she leads a simple life. She wears the same clothes to work every day, eats the same meal for lunch every day, and buys the same 2 bottles of vodka to drink every weekend. Eleanor Oliphant is happy. Nothing is missing from her carefully timetabled existence, except sometimes everything. From what I've heard about it, it's a really human story that so many people can relate to, and I just can't wait to get fully stuck into it, and I think I'm going to get on much better with it as an actual physical book rather than audiobook, so I will let you know how I get on with that one. Last up in my pile, and a book that I've had for a long time and never got round to reading, is this, Girl Boss by Sophia Amoruso. The book is basically about her journey to being a successful businesswoman. She shares her advice, her stories and things that have happened to her along the way. I find books like this really inspiring. It's the kind of book that I will read and really take so much from. So even though it's one that I haven't managed to pick up over the last few years, it's something that I've wanted to read, and now that I'm actually making this commitment to reading books, I'm gonna make sure that this is one of them. So again, if you've read this one, I would love to hear from you. Let me know what you thought of it. So those are the books on my 2019 reading list so far. I will be super impressed if I manage to get through those by the halfway point of the year. That is my goal. I'm not gonna kid myself that I'm gonna get through any more than that because it's just not gonna happen, but I feel confident that I can manage one a month. I'd love to know how many books you manage to read, especially if you're a mum. I find it really hard. When I go to bed at night, I either want to just flick through my phone, which is a really bad habit that I need to stop, or if I do try reading, I'm asleep within literally 5 minutes. So wish me luck, I'm determined to do it. If you'd be interested, I can let you know what I thought of all the books in my monthly favourites videos maybe. Let me know again in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel so you don't miss any of my 30-day me series. I'm uploading daily on this channel, so I'd love you to follow along. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye!